Hey guys, happy Monday. It is Monday evening and I'm so excited. How was you guys this weekend? Cause mine was good. But anyway, I am DJ Dominique. As you guys know, it is Monday at 8 p.m., which means that this is the unspoken D word, divorce. So y'all know normally each week I come on and I talk these nice topics, these nice questions. But tonight I'm just gonna talk all things divorce. So we're just gonna hit all corners, all things divorce. Which this is kind of opening up for my series. As you guys know, I normally come on by myself. But for the month of February, I'm gonna have guests every month, and every month we're gonna talk all things divorce. And I'm extremely excited. Especially because this is actually doing better than like I kind of thought. And that's just to be honest. Like people really like are inboxing me and sharing and just supporting. And I didn't know it was helping people out as all aspects of life, relationships, um, everything. So I thank y'all, give you guys a hand of applause uh, for supporting me. But tonight is a really, really, really special night to me. I have my new sis on here, okay? Let me tell y'all, I love this girl. And believe it or not, like we just met for real on a photo shoot. So I kind of met her in a way that, business, great styling, I'm sure we'll post the pictures. I'm going into this whole new area of life. But God does all things well. And I gotta say, like, we were at the shoot and as we were walking out the door, and it was like, so what else you do? And follow me on IG. And literally at that moment, she followed me on IG and was like, you've been divorced? What? Just like, oh girl, we gotta talk. And I was like, what perfect way to talk than to bring her on. And literally, like, she's such a blessing, such an amazing voice. I was looking at some of her preaching clips on her page. I've been stalking her page.
Oh my gosh.
But like, I'm just so excited. I'm so excited on what God is going to do tonight. I know we prayed before we got on here, but I'm just so honored and just so thankful to God for this platform, this experience. His journey has been so amazing. And I know a lot of people go through these journeys, and I talk to people that literally had to go in crazy houses or just life was so different after a divorce. And
Yeah.
I'm here to let you guys know it is so beautiful once you grab a hold of the experience. Grabbing a hold of the experience to me is simply stepping into reality of like, look, it happened. You're either going to learn for it or you're going to repeat the mistake. On my case, we're going to learn from it. So every time I get a lesson is why I share it with you guys. So I'm thankful for all the questions that I get, all the inboxes, all the feedback. You guys are super amazing. So I'm going to bring my sis on. Hey, girl.
Hey. I'm so excited to be here. I just told you before we got on. I said I'm so honored. I feel so privileged that I'm your first guest. I'm
Yes.
like cheesing so hard. I'm trying to like stop cheesing. That's a big deal. And I thank you for inviting me. And you did not have to invite me. We literally just met a week ago.
Literally last Monday night in Philly.
Literally last Monday night in the wee hours of the night.
Okay. Because that shit was late.
Thank
So
you.
we're going to jump right in. We don't have any, like we already discussed, like we're both open books. Again, we're talking to empower, encourage, help uplift
Yes.
you through our experiences. So the first question that I kind of want to talk into and dive into is so going through your divorce, what actually, like, what were some of the feelings that you felt that made you either walk away, stay longer? Like, do you feel like that you stayed longer, or do you feel like you moved right in time? And then how? And then we can open up and discuss, we talked about behind the scenes.
So yeah, right. I'm actually about to say that. So I think like this is my first time talking publicly about my divorce. I am remarried now, so a lot of people don't know that I've been divorced, and it's so funny because my youngest son is 9, and
Mhm.
everyone thinks that my husband is his dad. And it just happened on Sunday. The lady's like, "Oh my God, you're looking more and more like your dad." He was like, "What?" Like, she don't even know my dad, mom.
Ugh.
But that's just what happens when you're blended and blessed. But so this is the first time that I'm literally publicly talking about my it's my son's dad that I was married to for approximately almost, we came up on our third year. So literally it was January of our third year.
Wow.
It was no March of our third year, and April was our anniversary. So right before the third year we split. But I think one of the things that this is like, this word is like, it's like literally I could hear it so loud, was guilt. Like,
Mm-hmm.
guilt was the one that I felt like tried to take me out. And this is why, of course, I've been healed from it and free from it for years, but
Mm-hmm.
guilt was one of the ones that wouldn't allow me to speak about it. Like, guilt wouldn't allow me to publicly speak about it. Guilt wouldn't allow me to be honest with people about it. So
Mm-hmm.
it's just kind of like, it's one of those things that I didn't talk about. And then when the more people that I met, like new friends, it's one of those things that I kind of just didn't mention. I would just say
Mm-hmm.
my son's dad, but I would leave that thing alone because it's kind of like, it was still like a little sore spot to touch. So I think, again, guilt was that feeling that I think to try to overtake me. And at a one point, I felt like it did overtake me, but it
Mm-hmm.
was one of those things where I had to like snap out of it. Like, no, this thing is not going to overtake me. So I think it was coming to my senses to really identify, okay, let's sit down really and kind of just process this thing. Cause I think that everything happened so fast. So I
Mm-hmm.
wasn't able to process it. Cause I think it's like when people try to, oh, it's gonna be okay. It's like, no, you don't know. If you
You.
haven't been divorced, you don't know what this thing feels like, especially when I think that you really take your vows serious. But not only that, when you're really, you're a believer. And I think it's one of those things that is extra, extra hard. And I think that's why the guilt bled out of me, like literally bled. And people could like not really see it, but they could see that the guilt was on me because it's one of those things where I'm a believer. I believe in God, but here I am about to go through a divorce
You're right.
because he did this. So
That was one of my things too. One of the feelings that I think that I felt the most, I was ashamed, which
yeah,
is comes along with guilt. More so again because you have to face the people. And one
yeah,
of the things, I know people be like, but you can't worry about people. You can't worry. You made your vow, but at the end of the day, we're human. So
yeah.
your impression on how your family was going to feel, how your
Hmm.
church people was going to feel.
Hmm.
That you guys came in as a unit, and now somebody's crying, or like I was a crier every Sunday. Like I would come to church every week, like
Yeah,
because I just didn't understand. Like, and then you carry guilt for me
yeah,
because I was a petitioner. So I always talk about like how it's strength in being a petitioner.
yeah,
And there were many days like I'd be like, oh my God, did I move too fast? Was I not supposed to do this?
yeah,
Was I supposed to stick it in? Why did I move so fast? Why I did this? So you carry a lot of guilt in your walk, and it's starting to weigh on you. Like
yeah,
I know, like as much as I like, if you were real, you knew that like I was smiling and laughing, but I was smiling and laughing to stop from crying. Like most,
yeah,
it
yeah,
was,
absolutely.
and you grow up. Like I know with us, like we're church, so
Yeah,
forward to being married.
yeah.
Like I had the dream, but like I'm never going to slight that. Like I had the dream wedding. We had 2 receptions,
Oh, wow.
party. Like we had that. So it was like, God, like I had this dream. Now I got to go back. So all 280 people that was at this
Yeah,
splitting one. So that's pause there. 280 people at my reception, and not one person I trusted to talk to with my situation. Like that's a problem. Like
yeah,
I
yes,
like the next time, like I definitely understand small ceremonies because like you have this stuff for people, and then you start walking in people. So like everything is people. And I say all the time, people told me to stay, and it was like I was really going to stay. And then it's like, wait, I'm sitting up on the side of my bed at night crying. Like
yeah, yeah,
you going to sleep.
right.
And like
You're
God,
gonna sleep okay.
you sleeping good. And I'm
Right,
like, okay, God,
right.
when is this going to change? When is this going to get better? Like,
Yeah,
you know, that's when you realize, like, there are some things, even marriages, as everything else, that are temporal, like
yeah,
that are temporary to bring you to these ends, to push you into these levels that you are.
mhm.
So guilt, yes, I definitely agree. Like you would have thought I was a murderer in these streets because of how I was feeling. Like I was looking over my shoulder, like, okay, who gonna see me? Who gonna ask? And then you just
Right.
exactly assume. I don't know if you felt like this, that everybody was looking at you, like
Yeah,
like You felt like
Mhm.
everybody knew.
That was the thing. I think I felt like everybody knew. Like even before they knew. Like
Yeah.
I felt like everybody knew before they actually even knew. But I think it's one of those things where you know how like your patterns change. So it's like if y'all are doing this all the time and now all of a sudden it's just her and the kids or it's just her, it's like people get a little suspect. Like, because I know sometimes you know how we could be judgmental, and sometimes we're like, did you notice that she came to church 3 Sundays and her husband didn't sit together? Did you notice that? So I think, and then you know, it's funny, he didn't go to church. So it was like only a holiday. So it was just like, but one of those things where, especially because I live in a small community, so the small community knows, you know what I mean? Everybody knows
Mhm.
everybody. So it was one of those things where I was really afraid that once my patterns change, then people were going to know. And I think that was the thing that really like kind of like shook me. And then it's like, you know, how you say you got to figure out who you can trust and who you can't trust. So it's
Mhm.
like you tell one friend, and then one friend ends up telling another friend. And then it's like, I think that the people that that friend hangs with is telling other people. So now this is bigger than what it really is. But we know how the enemy likes to play off of that
Yes.
little tiny bit of an open door. So if it's a crack, he's going to bust it wide open and make the situation, you know,
Mhm.
bigger than what it really is. But I think, again, guilt and shame is one of those things that you don't have to live with, right? But it's like
Mhm.
one of those things that the enemy comes, and it's easy because you're open and you're vulnerable. It's one of those things that the enemy will come and literally stick you with, like, this is what you're going to live with. And it's
Mhm.
one of those things where you really have to make the decision of what am I going to take on and what am I not going to take on. And I remember I sat in the car about to go to the gym. Now this was like, I feel like the official announcement, right? But even
Mhm.
not even people really knew. But I remember I heard the enemy clear as day. He said, this is going to be the worst time of your life. But let me tell you how God works, because we said that all things work for the good of those that love the Lord and are called to his,
Yeah.
to his purpose. It was like the enemy literally struck and that ball came, but God was like, hold on for a second. And literally my phone rang after the enemy said that. Like literally, and I'll never forget. Shout out to Reverend Jackie Capers. She was, I want to say, my mentor, Reverend Diva at the time. She called me literally. Shout out to Pastor Cassandra Hill, but I don't know your married name now, but they literally called me. It was like back to back calls. Like, I don't know if they called me, I called them. I can't remember exactly how it happened, but they literally spoke everything opposite of what the enemy told me when
See?
I was in the car. Like, and I'm in the car bawling my eyes out, like, this can only be God. Like, literally, I heard him loud and clear. And it was like that, like, literally, the Lord came and snatched that ball. Like, I'm just thinking about him hitting the baseball bat, shooting
Yeah.
that ball my way, and the Lord literally was like, nope, safe. Like literally, I slid right in, like, nope, she's safe because she's mine. And because she's mine, let me show you what I'm going to do for her.
Mhm. So the next thing is be like one of the biggest mistakes. I felt like once divorce was final is I spent time trying to create or keep a reality that was no longer there.
Yeah. Yeah.
So like I
Yeah.
do things like even post like as if and I feel like I stayed because of I wasn't honest with my reality.
Yeah.
Like once I started accepting reality is when my healing actually began. Cause it was like,
Yeah.
okay, this is real.
Yeah.
Now it's
Yeah.
time for you to either get help, your mental, like everything has
Yeah.
come subject now. But before when I was in denial, I was still his wife. And I never forget my therapist said that. I went to therapy one day and she was like, so how's your week? So like, she was real personal, but like, what are you praying for? And I was like, I'm praying for him and his mental. And, I'm worried that like, is he going to be okay? Is he okay? Like, does he need anything? And she was like, she looked at me clear as day and was like, you're still his wife, but you're not. And that thing hit me. And I'll never forget, like, I was upset that day. I grabbed my stuff and I left. Like, how dare she tell me?
Yeah.
And she know I'm divorced. Like, how dare she tell me that? Like, I'm divorced woman. What do you mean? I'm still his wife. And that's when it really set in. Like, I was praying for that boy like day and night. Like, God, like I know I made this decision. God, like
Yeah.
make sure okay, touch him, cover him, protect him, da 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 da. And it was like, no, girl, like reality is you guys are no longer. So now you have to take those prayers
Yeah.
and transform them into like a healing and things like that. So it's like I feel like one of the mistakes that I made that kept me in, guilt, shame, and unhealing longer was that I never had faced my reality of what
Yeah.
had happened.
Yeah.
What is one of those moments that you feel like kept you there instead of, crossing you over to like, okay, this is it, let's move on? Like, what do you think?
You know what I really think it was? I had a baby. So I think it was like I thought that I could still control him
Okay.
because we have a baby. So it was just like one of those things where we have a connection, right? This connection is our baby. So
Mm-hmm.
don't allow anybody or anything to tell you otherwise, because this
Okay.
is what it is. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
thought that was one of those things. And then it was like, don't have my baby around this person, because he was young. Then I think he was like 3, 2, 3. I think he's like 1, 2, somewhere like that. But
Mm-hmm.
don't allow. I thought I can control his household. So it was one of those things where I don't, let me go back for a second though, just to play this out for a second, that I remained, this is the crazy part. He cheated on me, but I stood my ground on being his wife until he left and walked out the door.
Wow.
So 2 months, I, after discovering, I mean, like literally seeing everything. So I've seen everything. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I picked up the phone and she was on the other end. And she
Wow.
said, tell him to call me back. Not who this. Like, you know what I mean? Don't worry about who it is. Ask him who I am. And he walked in like, you answer my phone? Yes. And who is this? Yeah, well, it's over. It's over. Just like that. But I remain, right? Because I felt like I had a job.
Mm-hmm.
I was called to be his wife. And I know people probably would say, you are crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Cheated. I saw the videos, multiple people. I saw the messages, and I still remained his wife until he left out of my door with his bags.
Wow.
So I think, honestly, I'm not even joking. That was probably that like hard thing. I'm not going to say it's one of those things where I couldn't snap out of reality, but I think my vow was unto the Lord and not really unto him at the time.
That's
And I
sweet.
said, I'm going to be your wife until you walk out the door. And there was no papers drawn, so we were still married. So it was, I'm gonna be your wife. I'm still gonna cook dinner. I'm still gonna be here if you need me.
Mm-hmm.
No, we weren't sleeping together, but it was like, I'm still gonna be your wife. He can sleep on the couch, I sleep in the bed, but I'm still your wife until you walk out the door, because I have a job and my job is to be your wife until you walk out the door.
Wow.
Yeah, that
That-
was something else. And then looking back and me saying it out loud was like, girl, what was you thinking of?
but it gets like that because we love, like, I know me, like, I love hard.
Yeah,
And
me too.
marriage, like, and it's like when I think about it now, marriage is beautiful. Like, I'm one, like,
Yeah.
ever hear me, like, I never forget, like, right after the divorce, people would have like having stuff, and they be like, well, we didn't want to invite you because we
Yeah.
didn't know how you would feel, or how
Right.
it happened, or how this would happen. And it'd be like, what? Like, I love,
Right.
I was mature enough to understand that it just didn't happen right for me. And not to
Yeah.
say, like, you say that and you be like, what do you mean? Like, there are just
Yeah.
some experiences that we go through, and we kind of change the direction of like where God wanted it to go. And that's
Absolutely.
okay. Like, because he said
Absolutely.
things like he'll never leave us nor forsake us.
Yeah.
Whatever
Yeah.
direction it took, I knew that God's hand would still be on me, even though it
Yeah.
was left and not straight.
Yeah.
I, so I believe in Black love. Like, I
Yeah.
love, and that's why I created this platform to help that woman that's maybe at the end. And I'm one that to say, like, when we divorced, like, we didn't just divorce. Like, we went to counseling, we went to the white man, and we went to the preacher man. Like, we
Right.
went and we did all of those things. So it wasn't like, okay, you divorced, what else could I have done? We just had got to a place, and immaturity on
I think she froze, y'all.
okay, I think something happened with my service.
Yeah, I said I think she froze, y'all.
Even the immaturity of me, I didn't think that like the reality could help again. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, I thought
Yeah,
that the maturity was like, oh, so this is done. Like, you
she's
know,
really done.
I didn't see nothing else after that. Like, I was like, oh my God, I'm about to be divorced. Like, what else?
Yeah,
But that, like, God will still create situations to let me know his hand is still on the boat.
yeah,
Like, it's
yeah,
on just, me or just on that. Like God will, you know what I'm saying? Like it's on both. And sometimes we don't take our experiences and use them for
Are good.
greater, yeah, our good.
Yeah.
This experience, like maybe we were both put together to have separate testimonies and separate stories
Yeah.
on how, and like now it's like now I look at it and I always say, whoever get me this time, I know, because I wasn't perfect. Like I had
Yeah.
listening.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was the one to listen, to respond. Like now I understand, like
Right.
listening and you really trusting God,
Right.
praying, laying aside those things and like praying and trusting him and not praying like, oh, I'm gonna fix it. Like literally learning the temperature of things. Like I feel like
Yeah.
I can never forget the day I submitted the papers. I didn't check the temperature of our home. You know what I'm saying? Like that
Right.
day, maybe I shouldn't have did it that day. I should have waited. But I know now to like, check the temperature, pray about
Yeah.
it. So like, okay, what is the right time to say this? What is
Yeah.
the don't just jump and say
Right.
this and don't just jump and say that, or even
Right. Right. Yeah.
who to talk to, who not to talk to, who to show your everybody can't handle that vulnerable you.
Yeah.
Everybody can't handle, like, and I still believe we have friends. Some friends could handle us behind closed doors arguing and stuff. And then for some friends that we didn't know couldn't handle that side of us that was broken. And
Yeah.
what they did was they took that broken side and they shared that broken side and started saying, whoa, let's y'all come together and let's pray right now because
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I don't know what thing got in this house. But
Yeah.
we had that. We had friends that would come and we would be arguing and it would get worse. They would take him this side, take it. And it's like now I know, like, okay, surround yourself with people that have you guys' best interest, that
Yep.
have
Yep.
the same mindset, the same motive, the same,
Yeah.
you guys are speaking the same language and they genuinely love you guys because they
Yeah.
really there amongst your friends. It'll show. Like I feel like there are some decisions that won't be made if you surround yourself with people that love you and are for your marriage. Because they're like, whoa, bro, don't you do
Yeah.
that. You gotta
Yeah.
do
Yeah.
that.
No,
Girl,
that's
don't
real.
you do
That's
that.
real.
Don't
That's
take that
real.
from that boy.
Yeah.
You
No,
know, you
that's
got
absolutely real. Yeah. I think one of the things that's real is that you have to choose who is inside of your circle and who's on the outside of your
yeah.
circle. So who you're doing life with and who are you allowing to look at your life, right? Because
Mm,
everybody is not in your circle, right? So you can have this group of friends that you hang with, that you roll with, that you'll
mhm,
call, but then you can have these group of friends where you're allowed to be vulnerable and intimate with, right?
mhm.
Because I always look at it as covenant is covenant, right? So this is my first covenant and then this is my second covenant. So
Yes.
anything around me is extra. So it's like what it I need somebody though around me in the extra part that is going to be in agreement with this covenant and with this covenant. So it's like
Mhm,
if you're afraid to speak up and say, no, wait, listen to this. Why did you respond that way? Or what made you respond that way? Then
mhm,
you can't be in that inner circle with me. So if you're
mhm,
afraid to, it's not a judgment thing, though. It's not a let me tell you thing either. It's just like, no, sis, but listen. I have this friend, I'm telling you, she's my best friend.
mhm,
And what she always does is she tells me how God handles her, but it's like God speaks through her situation to me, though. So
mhm,
it allows me to locate where I am. So it's like when I'm in a situation and I'm telling her about whatever it is, she never says, you should have did this or blank should have did this. She says, the Lord handles me this way. And
I like.
because she says that, I'm able to locate me where I'm at. And I say, okay, God, I know what I need to do or what I should have did this time. But I think again, that's why in a marriage is very important to have number one, like-minded friends. Like it
Yes.
has to be friends that are pushing for the same goals, marriage goals, same, like you have to know, like I need to see this man honor God as he honors his wife. Because
Mhm,
if he doesn't honor God and his wife, then I don't want my marriage connected to that. Like no, by no means necessary. So before, when I was married, it was kind of like a show thing. Like, look
yeah.
who I done married. Like, yeah,
Then
yeah,
we got the ring and it was like I'm
yeah,
engaged, but
yeah, yeah. It was one of those things that I always tell people that's what I wanted. But my husband now is what I needed, right?
yes.
And maybe he doesn't have the job that he had or he had, like, you know what I mean? But it's just like, that's not what I needed at the time.
Mhm,
I wanted that. And it's crazy. God will honor your prayers. Because if you tell him what you want, you'll get what you want. And I got what I want. Oh, I want somebody to make me laugh because I always want to be able to laugh. I want somebody to look good because I want to flaunt him around because, I'm always, you know what I mean, like doing this, and I'm always in public with my friends and just stupid stuff. Because now I can look back and like, that was stupid. Why did you even ask for stupid stuff like that? But guess what? He gave me, I want somebody to save, but that's it. I ain't say I wanted somebody that wanted a relationship. I said I wanted somebody that was just saved. And guess what? He was saved. And that was it. Nothing else. So I got what I asked for. But I wanted it. I didn't need it at the time. I wanted it. But I'm so grateful for the process that happened through all of it, because it allowed me to see me. Like, and let's talk about that. Like, I feel like it's like one of those things where they cheat on you, but it's like, oh my God, what did you do? Like you said, what did you do to deserve that? Or like, what did you do for him to cheat on you? But it's like, I had to really take that time and look in the mirror and say, okay, what did I do? What in the world? Not what did I do to cause him to cheat on me, but what could I have done better?
And you know what? I just put that up on Facebook last week. And it's like, I'm finally at a place. And again, my healing didn't start until I started experiencing the ugly parts of Dejanay. What did you do wrong? What did you say wrong? How did you handle? Why didn't you listen? Why didn't you do why didn't you? And when I started like feeling this Dejanay, it hurt. Like, so point where it was like, oh my God, I contributed this. Like, when I asked God, God, show me so I can move, because I felt like I was stuck in a place of like, I was stuck in being divorced. Like, I was just so like, and I was the petitioner, which people don't think. Like, I was the one.
I was too. I filed too.
But that thing hit me like like a ton of bricks. Like, oh my God, what did I do? And when I started really realizing like who Dejanay, like who I was in my marriage, like, and I can be honest now. Almost for the tear. We ain't doing this tonight, Lord.
Right.
When I could be honest in my marriage, and I treated my marriage like it was a marriage. Like, I treated it like, oh, I'm married. Like we bond, we married, we was posting pictures, getting all these likes, we look good, but I really did not invest. Like, I knew him and I learned him. I used to make this joke, I never forget, of year 4 of our marriage, I put up this post on Facebook, and it was real good too. I didn't know that was gonna be the worst year of our life, but I put up this post and was like, I've been married to him for 4 years, and just this year I became his wife. And literally, that's really what happened. And 4 years, it was like we were just existing. We were married. We were going through the motions. It was cute. We were young. Year 4 came, and I feel like I finally had become the person he needed, the prayer person he needed. Needed the provider. Well, not provider, but like, I became that helpmate. I became.
You became a wife.
In year 4. It wasn't for show no more. Like, it was like that stage was done. It was like really reality. And then crazy thing was that was the worst year. But it was like I hit that, and it was like I started, questioning God, like, oh my God, like I did all this work and prepare, and I finally realized, and then it would happen. So me transforming into this divorce role of like, okay, Dejanay, like, grow up, honey. You did right. Girl panties on. Right. Reality. You have to know what to say to the people. You have to deal with you behind the scenes, because it was at one point people like, how you doing? I would just bust out crying. But that was before I realized, like, I just thought it was all him. And then when I started dealing with me in my prayer time and showing me, and it was like, I don't know how he shows you, but he would show me conversations, scenarios, and things that I forgot all about.
Oh, so you like to replay? He liked to replay the tapes.
I would cry more, like, oh my God, I didn't hear. Like, oh my God. Then he would show me, and the more I would ask God, show me this, show me this. I'd be sitting watching something in a conversation, and it'd be like, oh my God, this is what you need to work on. And that's how I learned. Conversations would come, and I knew one of the things that I had to start practicing was to listen and not to respond, but to listen. Man, they didn't think like us. You know what I'm saying? Like, there were a lot of cries that were cried out before. And not making no excuse for him, y'all. I'm not at all. Taking responsibility for what Dejanay played in the role. And I wasn't perfect. You know what I'm saying? So it's like learning learning that, of accepting responsibility, seeing who Dejanay was, the
Yeah.
hurt. And then I realized that was a Dejanay. So marriage, and I'm just gonna put this out there for people that are listening and in relationships. A lot of times people get married. We were young. We were like 25, 26. And we got married, and the world has you thinking like, oh, because when I get married, I'm gonna become this. Or when
Mhm.
I marry, this is when life starts happening. And then I realize now, no, Dejanay. So the healing Dejanay is realizing, no, girl, you gotta know who you are.
Yes.
You got
Yeah.
you, because he's only gonna come in and enhance what's there. And
Yep.
so
That's
I
good. That's real good.
all my hope and my faith in somebody that was trying to validate a person I didn't even know.
Mhm.
So
Yeah.
it's hard to work for him, because it's like, I thought what people taught us. Oh my God, girl, once we get married, this starts happening. We're gonna be a team. We're gonna be this
Yeah.
power couple.
Right.
And a
Right.
power is two people coming together with who they are.
Yeah.
So I came empty-handed at first. I had all these visions, and I never forget. I was talking to my aunt Deidre one day, and I was like, he didn't validate. Like, I had all these visions. I should be father. Had all these books, and it was like, ding ding girl, like, you were supposed to work that, do that,
Yeah.
and they always talks about, like, they like to see you working and doing, and it's not
Right.
they come in and then things start blossoming. No, like, and that's for any woman on here that's, maybe seeking a relationship.
Yeah.
You know who you are, love yourself, because they're only going to validate and treat what's there. If you don't love yourself, they're not going to be able to love a part of you that you don't even know. They'll be loving the surface. They'll
Yeah.
never the heart, because you don't even know what love should feel like until you
Yeah.
love yourself.
You
Now
have
I
to be
know that.
whole. That's the thing. You have to be
Yes.
whole. You have to be whole. You can't take broken into a marriage. You literally have to be whole. It's funny because I learned again the hard way my second marriage, because we were not whole. We were still healing. Like, literally both still healing from our first marriage, that literally, like, his was done, mine was done. A year later, we met and married on our third month. Like, literally, we dated April, May, and got married on our third month of dating.
Okay, so
Literally.
go into that. Let me ask you this, because I feel like this is about to be good. So, how did you know, like, one, it was time to move on? Like, how did you know that phase of, like, that dating, that you were ready, or
Mhm.
that you were ready, that you guys thought you were married? Like, what was your perspective and your mind frame after divorce? Like, how did you know you were physically, mentally, right? Even though I know you're saying that there's problems, like, what did you think at that moment that made you ready?
So I think one of the things is that God was able to get me by myself and literally clean me all up again. So
Okay.
I think it was the thing where, and listen, this is just, I'm going to clarify what I mean by not whole going into my marriage, right?
Mhm.
But I mean, he literally cleaned me all up. Like, it was one of these things, and I think we talked about it before we actually came on, and I was saying that the reason why we're not married no more is because it was a God thing. God is a jealous guy, and I think that when we forget about it, and then we put our spouse before God. So that's why I said covenant this way, because now I know. And then covenant this way. So
Yeah.
me and him, but first it's me and him. But it was me and him, and then it was me and him. So it was one of those things where he had to, I'm a jealous guy, and I need you, and I need you by yourself. And once we were divorced, he was able to really get me by myself and really do what he needed to do inside of here. And
Mhm.
it wasn't him cleaning me up and making me whole from that divorce, but it was like him cleaning me up and making me whole. Like,
Mhm.
showing me who I am as a woman, showing me I'm like, you're my daughter, I'm your father, I'm going to validate who you are. It was that first, affirming me in him. And then it was, once I affirm you, then you're going to believe that you can get through this process. So it
Mhm.
was a struggle. It was a struggle. But I think because I took that time where it literally was me and him all day long. Because who else I was talking to? I wasn't talking to nobody. Like, it was over. So it's like me and my Bible in my bed. Like, I literally will wake up and read the word for hours. Like take my daughter to school. My son was small at the time. I would take him to daycare, no lie. And I literally would just read the Bible literally from morning till lunchtime. Go get something to eat and go back and read the Bible. Allow him. It was really straight communion between us. Like times where I had to soak in what you said. I had to soak in coming to the reality of it's me now. Now I
It's
gotta
me.
face me because I can't cover up any feelings.
I
I
can't.
can't cover up me because he's not here. So now it's like I had to face me, and then I had to face me, but then I had to face him. So it was just like going to him and really asking him to complete me, make me whole, and make me kind of hit that refresh button and then start all over again. But this is what I meant by what I said, like being whole as a woman, but still going into the marriage, my new marriage, carrying some of my marriage baggage. That's what I should have said. So it was like carrying my expectations from my last husband
Yeah,
into my new marriage. So because my first marriage, I was the one in charge. It wasn't no, he was the head. I was the one in charge. So it was me coming into my new marriage like I'm the one in charge. I make the money. This is what we doing. Like like me and him was probably making the same amount at the time, my ex-husband, but it was like, no, I sort the bills. This is what we do. And he was with it. Like he was going along. My ex-husband, he was going along with all of it. Like, yo, if you know how to do it, then you gonna do it. I'm like, I'm filling out this job application. You gonna get another job so you can make
that
more
was
money. Cause this $7 an hour ain't working for me. I mean, this is 2013, 12, 11, like 2010. So we talking about almost 12 years ago. But it was like, no, I'm getting you a job. You're going to be making like $19, $20 an hour, which I got him the job. Look, he got the interview. I told him everything to say while we was on the phone.
listen,
For real. But no, but it was just me, again, bringing that in to my marriage. But I felt like God, like when you really get with God and get in the presence of God, it's like one of those things where you have to have that open channel to hear him clear. And I remember he said to me, not because he was honoring me because I spent so much time with him, but I remember he said, you're going to get married again and it's going to be fast. And I was like, fast? And he told me who I was going to meet my husband through. He told me, like, you're going to meet your husband through these two people. So it was like when I met him, it's like I knew. And I was like, oh my gosh, like this is for real. But I kind of ignored it and then put a little foot out there. You know, you little dip your little toe in the pool, kind of little dip my little toe in the pool. Like, let me see if this is for real. But no, it ended up being there. And was I ready? Heck no. I was scared out of my mind. Like, talk a good game. Yeah, I'm ready. Yeah, let's get married. I'm like, I'm crying like, no, I don't think this is supposed to be. God, show me a sign. Show me a sign. Like,
and it's
if
like
you don't
I
show me a sign, then I'm not marrying him. Like, it was real. He showed me a sign. But I feel like, again, that process with my new husband, it had to literally grow me up too, though. So it was like one of those things where it had to show me submission. That was the biggest thing. It had to show me submission. Our first like literally year to 2 years in marriage was dying to self, like showing me how to serve and honor my husband, showing me how to really serve and honor God, like again with a husband, if that makes sense. But it was literally, I knew, I felt like, because again, God prepared me during that time period, a year and some change when I was by myself. He prepared me and told me, like, because I had that open channel with him.
that's good. That's good. I know one of the things that I would say when it comes to like dating after divorce,
Yeah.
I can definitely fall into like the expectations. Like
Yeah.
I have this expectation, so it's weird. It's like you didn't have this demand on my I didn't have a demand on my ex-husband, but this one is like, no, you're going to do this. You're going to do this. You're going to
Yeah.
whoa, girl, like slow down. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to do this. Like you're punishing him
Right.
with somebody else did not do,
But
and
you're punishing yourself too because you're
you yes,
putting expectations on them, and when they're unmet, then you're sad. Then you're, I can't believe this.
I
Then you're mad at God.
like why did you put me through this? So now I'm
Yeah.
into like literally, which is something we didn't do prior to my divorce. Like now I'm learning like, okay, so if it's meant to be, like it's meant to be. This is
Yeah.
it's going to happen. If this is going to, I think more so after divorce, I'm loving, and it's so weird. I just said this. I was like, I had got invited out on a date, whatever, and I literally had to sit on
Whatever.
my couch, like, but I'd rather go out to eat by myself. Like, I knew I've been spending so much time with myself and learning myself and
Yep.
doing things
And you have to be
that I've
careful with that.
never done, that it's like, but I want to go eat there by myself. Like that was on my list that I wanted to drive,
You
drive
have to be so, and that's one of the things that
by
you have to be
myself.
real careful of. And I remember I enjoyed being by myself to the point where I didn't want him in my space. So it was like, it's crazy. One of my friends said, she said, watch you being so comfortable with you. She said, it's going to get dangerous if you get too comfortable with you, because then you don't want to come out. And it was to the point where I didn't even want to come outside because I really enjoyed the time of being by myself and really being with the Lord all the time. So it was like I didn't want to come outside. I didn't want to go nowhere. I didn't want to do anything. And I sure as heck didn't want no my new husband laying in the bed next to me. It was like, all right, when you gonna go? Like when
You
you
so
going somewhere? Like when you going somewhere? I was serious though. Like when you leaving?
so what do you think is one of the biggest and I know we talked about, so I'll answer first.
Yeah, go ahead.
Gonna be, what do you think has been like one of the biggest good things out of the divorce? And I can answer. I will definitely say my, like we've been talking, my walk with God. I've
Yeah.
always had a relationship with God, but I feel like now it's at a whole nother
Yeah.
serious, like it's like
Mm-hmm.
I'm serious about him. Like I'm
Yep.
trusting him. I
Yeah.
hear him clearer. I'm praying more. I'm in my word more. Like that hard season pushed me into a level of prayer because it was like I didn't know what else to do but pray and cry. Like literally, I
Yeah.
felt all day like Jesus, Jesus, just get me out.
Yeah.
Just get me out. Just, just allow me. And you started praying before you walk in the store. God, just protect me, God, before I walk in.
Yeah.
Nothing trigger me. And I started learning my triggers. So sometimes I feel like the divorce, one thing I can say that was a great thing for me was
Mhm.
my relationship with God. Like it's on point. Like now it's like it's so great. Like I enjoy, like you said, like before,
Yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie, I can read the word and fall asleep on God. Like be reading it and you fall asleep, like, oh, okay, like I fell asleep now.
I think she froze again, y'all.
I just we never
Here
have.
she come.
I know that this
You girl, the enemy don't want nobody to talk about nothing.
never have connection issues. Okay. But I feel like my connection with God is definitely
Yeah.
stronger. Like now I'm serious. I'm intrigued about being who he called me to,
Yeah. Yeah.
and I'm enjoying watching myself grow and do things out of the box that I would have never done being comfortable or just being a wife. So it's like, and I'm relearning. Like I know for me as a wife, I didn't cook. I didn't do, like, I was blessed with somebody that was very domestic and all I had to do was supply everything. He cooked. I knew how to clean, but we had a clean, like I had a cleaner. So it was like, he cooked and I'm learning like now, like I like cooking, like believe it or not, like I like cooking now. Like I like finding recipes. Didn't think I could even boil water. But now I like cooking and tasting and putting stuff together and going out and it's like, okay, like I'm enjoying
Yeah.
this new. So I feel like the divorce wasn't all, and I think that's why, another reason why I created this, because a lot of the questions that I were getting in my inbox was like people just felt like there was no life after divorce, which is where I was. Like,
Yeah.
I felt like there was like, what else? Like who else is gonna want me? Like I'm divorced.
Yeah.
Like obviously it didn't work the first time. Like
Right.
am I even going to be able, like do I even know how to date, or am I even
Right.
what
Yeah.
is going to happen? I hadn't been dating in like 12, 13 years. So it was like,
Wow.
what else is going, what I'm saying? What else is this new age, And so I feel like, one of the lessons is, there definitely is life after divorce,
There's
but
definitely life
in
after divorce.
relationship, I would definitely like some of the mistakes that I feel like again, what we'll say is the whole, like my expectation going in was I had expectations on him that I wasn't even doing for myself. And I thought I was.
Yeah.
So it's like, remove those expectations and enjoy, like,
Hmm.
and stuff. People always, and I think we talked about this before, like, when cheating happens, it's like, well, what did you do as a female? Like, what did you, I know,
Yeah. Right.
because girl, you ain't cooking or you ain't giving it up, or you ain't doing. And it's like, when you really process and you heal through that, you do realize there are some things that you legit did that,
Absolutely.
like you
Absolutely.
thought DJ, like DJ, like, there are some things that I
Yeah. Absolutely.
like, but in a moment you be like, cause he did that and that. No, in the moment, like legit, there are some things, and again, your healing doesn't come until you accept responsibility.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
You
Mm-hmm.
have to. It's not a one person show. Like
Yeah,
you have to accept responsibility, and that's in all.
absolutely.
Like you can't. You have to accept responsibility.
I agree. I think that one of the things that people really have to recognize is there's life after divorce, but first it's like there you have to heal. You can't just jump
You.
back into something immediately and then again put all these expectations and then they become unmet expectations and then it opens the door to hurt, to
Mm-hmm.
pain, to regret, to guilt, to all these shameful things that clearly God doesn't want us to live in, but the enemy wants us to live in it. But I think one of the things, going to your question, I think one of the things that I really learned in all honesty was from the divorce, I guess it's like the after effects of the divorce. I think I went from religion to relationship. That was like
Mm-hmm.
the time where I really, really learned what it was to have a relationship because it was just like if I didn't have a relationship or learn how to have a relationship at that time, oh, I would have lost my mind. Like, you know what I mean? Like when they be
Yes,
like, oh, I should have lost my mind a long time ago.
live a
I
long
should
time.
have lost my mind, literally lost my mind if I would have folded to what the enemy said, that this was going to be the worst time of your life. But I think it was that time that I really clung on to him and learned what a relationship was. And then, like you said, I learned who I was. Like, because
Mhm.
I think people forget, as you know, how people, I know I used to say, I'm the same friend. I ain't never going to change up on you. I ain't never going to be this. It's always going to be me. I'm always going to be Teadra. But I think the thing is, yes, I am going to be Teadra because that's my name. But we have to evolve, like we as we go and get older, so from 20 to 25 or from 25 to 30, we have to change, we have to mature, we have to become who
Yes.
God is really calling us to be. And I think that was one of the things that I really had to recognize who I was at that time. Even though 4 years had passed, it was like you're no longer who you were then. You wanted to get married because all your friends were getting married. So exactly what you wanted. You didn't need it, but you wanted it. So because all your friends at the time, and every time you turn around, somebody was getting married, you wanted to get married. So that's why you got married. And that's why it ended the way it ended. Because you ain't had no business being in that marriage doing what you was supposed to be. You know what I mean? You wasn't supposed to be doing that.
You
But it
wasn't
was
gonna,
just one of those things, huh?
I said you just wasn't supposed to do it.
Yeah, you just wasn't supposed to do it, but I did it anyway. And guess what? I wasted 3 years of my life, but my son came out of it. So glory to God for my son. But again, at that time, it was a time where I really just had to learn, like, learn you, like who are you, like learn what do you like, what don't you like, what are your boundaries. Girl, there you go again. There what are your boundaries? I told you his enemy is big man right now. We
Okay.
exposing him.
Listen,
There's life after divorce, but what is your boundaries? Like you were saying, what is your boundaries? What are the things don't you like? What are the things that you do like? What is your love language? Because you got to be able to tell your next husband, I like this and I don't like this. And you have to be able to say it with boldness. Like, yo, this is cool, but I don't like it. Like, I
I,
don't like when you touch me on my shoulder, but I like when you touch me other places. You know what I mean? So it's like one of those things where you really have to know you before you get into anything. But I think one of the things that I did want to touch this for a second is when you have kids, a lot of women think like, who's going to want me with my kids? Child. And that's why you have to be so specific with your prayers and pray that I need my husband or my man or my boyfriend, whatever you're praying for, to love my kids as if they were his own. And that was one of my prayers. Like, I need my husband to love my kids as if
mhm.
they were his own. So because I don't need you to, be acting real funny toward. So it was just one of those things that I really had to pray for. And then I really had to get specific with my prayers this time. Like, I need him to have a relationship with you. So
Like
when
I,
I'm low, I need him to go ahead and speak life into me and breathe his breath. And that's going to be your breath that you breathing into him. And that breath is going to go into me. But it was like I had to really get that specific. But then also, I think one of the things is the trust factor. That
yes,
was like, and I wanted to say something about that with you too, is like, how do you bounce back from trust? Like, your trust is completely gone. Like, you know what I mean? He cheated. I ain't gonna never trust. And that's how I ain't trusting nobody else. That's like our first reaction, but not response. Because there's a difference between reaction and responding. So reacting is we reacting off of that emotion, but the response is God, show me how to be able to trust again. But the reaction is, I ain't never gonna be able to trust no man again, or it's gonna be hard for me to trust.
Oh, you ready for this?
Yeah, go ahead.
So, what I can say, I learned the hard way when it comes to Dejanay and trust.
Yeah,
One, don't, if you know you can't trust, you cannot talk to a man that you know, like women, a whole bunch of women. Like, just don't even put yourself in that position.
yeah,
And I had to learn those things the hard way. Like, okay, Dejanay, like you're working on your trust. You don't have time to date someone that is in that profession that attracts women because it's not going to be good for you. Like you have to
yeah,
get boundaries. So now I'm working on trust. Like now I'm starting to go in there and I have to be a mental thing with like, okay, DJ, like you can't punish him. So trust him
right.
until he gives you a reason not to trust. And that's hard, but that's one of those
Very.
that's like a relationship with God. Like it's a daily act. So daily
Mhm.
I'm like, okay, you can't assume that he's with a girl if he
Yeah,
never gave you that.
right, right.
Like you can't assume that it's a girl that's texting him when y'all are in the car, or this is the girl he's talking to because she called. You know what I'm saying?
Right,
In
right.
our minds, but you have to literally train. So how I deal with trust is I have to like literally train myself to like, girl, get out
Yeah,
of you're punishing him. And that's something that I do pray. Like that's on my prayer level. Like God, allow me to trust. And then I believe that God is a revealer. So I do, if there is a reason I should not trust him, let me know.
yeah, yeah. God will, you know how he is. He will expose it. He will show you the signs.
Yes.
You know what I mean? When it's not. But I think one of the things you said so good, but I think what you said, I think is like one of those things where you can't allow the enemy to get in. Because the
Mhm.
enemy is going to bring up what happened in the past and give you those feelings of, and you know how we are as women. We start being investigators.
Yeah.
We start,
Okay.
oh, I got women's intuition. We say all these things and we make these things up to affirm what the enemy is speaking. You know what I mean? So it's one of those things where you have to really make up in your mind. Like, and I think one of the things, like exactly what you just said, was it's a God thing. In all honesty, it's one of those things where, like, listen, God, I'm going to put myself out here. It's like you got to have straight talk with him. I'm
Okay.
going to put myself out here. But what I'm going to need for you to do for me is let me know
You
if
know what?
it's any sign. But
You
I think,
know.
yeah, one of the things for me was God literally, the crazy part is, and I think this is how people will probably look at it as God ain't do that, but it's like, no, he really did. He promised me that my husband wouldn't cheat on me. He promised me, like literally was like, he said, this is something that you won't have to worry about. And the crazy part is when I got married, because mind you, I saw the video of my husband. So I have every right
Whew.
not to trust my husband. I have every right. I don't care what nobody said. I have every right not to trust him. But when we got married, I felt such a peace and a confidence with his eyes is only for me. He has never, when I say never, and I'm telling you, my first year, I tried to make stuff up because he has never, when I say never, he has never gave me not even one little dot of an implication that his eyes or his phone or his messages or I tried to make something up. Why you talking to your baby mom like that? Y'all having too much conversation. And he was like, what? And I was like, no, low key, I'm like, yeah, I'm tripping. Let me stop. Let me stop before you, let me stop. Like, yeah, you tripping, girl. But no, but it was just one of those things where I felt like I had to test it to make sure it was real because God promised that to me. Like, this is something that you're not going to have to worry about because this is how I knew I was going because I'm a jealous guy and I had to get y'all first, y'all out of here. The way I had to get you out of here because you took your vows to death, do us part, is I know that him arguing with you was still going to stay. But if you saw that he cheated on you, there
Sure.
was no way that you would ever, stay after that.
Mm-hmm.
And because I think I saw it on the video, I think it made it worse. It's different when it's text message. It's kind of like, yeah, your feelings is hurt, but it ain't really hurt. But when you actually see a video of, them in the app, that thing, I mean, rocked me to the core. But it was one of those things again where God knew, and He's like, you know what? I'm going to protect you when you marry again. It's no way that that husband is going to do this to you. I won't allow this to happen because now I'm sending him now because this is what you need, not what you want.
You know what? You said something that it just triggered it. Not triggered in a bad
Yeah,
way. I thought about when you were saying how learning, like, after the divorce, what you learned. And one of the things that I had to learn was that there was a trauma DNA now.
Yeah. Yeah.
The old DJ, like, and I think a lot of my responses right after my divorce, I was looking for an old DJ response. Like, I was so happy before marriage and I was this,
Yeah.
that. And I
Right.
really like realized that, like, no, girl, you are not the same girl. Like, trauma has happened. You've been married. Like, now you have to relearn and reprogram a whole nother you.
That's serious.
And
That's serious.
I tell people this all the time, like, the trauma these, like, there's a such thing as like a trauma person. Like, and I
That's serious.
piece my book. I never forget, I was in Atlanta and I was like crying, and I'm like, why am I not happy? Like, people was
Right.
out, but it was because I was looking for an old feeling from an old
Yeah.
day.
Yeah. Yeah.
And it's like, once I realized that, like, no, girl, you done lost a baby, you done been through a divorce, you done been through hurt in a marriage, like, you done been through
Yeah.
stuff. It's no way you're the same, like, you're about to give people the same response. Like,
Right.
girl,
Right. No,
like,
that's real. That's real.
and so, like,
It's one of the most traumatic experiences
yeah,
that you can go through. I don't care what anyone says. You have to go through a divorce to understand what we're saying right now. You
listen,
can't say that it's just not like that. But I just think about how kids get damaged, how families get damaged, tore apart because of this. It is a very traumatic
yes,
experience.
it is. And you are not the same person. Like, don't even
You're
expect
not.
you to be the same person. And I always say, like, I make just like, whoever get me next is good, because I didn't put some work in this baby. Like,
Yeah,
but it's like,
absolutely.
not to say that, but it's like, dang, like, when I be sitting back, like, oh my God, like, what? Like, my mind was really my age, and you think
Yeah,
doing so much and just
right.
all this stuff. And it's like, girl, like, you would think you said that, like, you was thinking that, like, you was crying after that, like, girl, where was your authority? And that's one of the things in my marriage, I didn't realize the authority that I had in my voice.
Hmm.
I remember my bridal shower, all the advice was, girl, keep water by your bed, because if you go to get smart or something, drink some water. You can't get smart with your mouth open, and I mean full of water. And make sure when he come in, the house is peaceful. And so you do all of this stuff to kind of like downplay. So it's like, I can't say this, I
Yeah,
can't say that. And so a lot of times my feelings, I felt like I carry extra burdens, because I felt like nobody understood Dejanay.
yeah,
I
yeah,
feel nobody. And it was like, when I would say, it's like, oh girl, you overreacting. Like,
yeah,
there
yeah,
were people that was like, you leaving him because he cheated? Like,
yeah,
girl, that's normal. Like, you're gonna do. And it's like, no, nobody's understanding how this hurt me, how this made me feel.
yeah,
But
absolutely.
it was because I didn't have a voice. I didn't trust my own voice. So I
Right.
depending on people to, and I said this
Yeah,
first episode, when I first filed for divorce, it wasn't a DJ thing. It was people, girl, you need to leave. You deserve better than this. You da da da. And so it was like a back and forth, because it was like, but I really don't want to. But because I didn't told people, they expected me.
well, them expectations, man.
Yes, of people. So it's like, now I understand, like, no, get your authority back, like your authority. And now
Yeah,
I do speak, like, I try to, I don't care if it's gonna hurt. I do care if it's gonna hurt you, but like, if I'm feeling some kind of way, like, I need to, you said your feelings, like, now I'm gonna say mine. And
yeah.
my
You
feelings,
can't dummy down who you are. You have to be who God's called you to be, and
yeah,
He has to be able to understand. He has to be able to accept, and He has to be able to take who you are. And I don't mean like a mental abuse you, but I
yeah,
mean
but
like,
like,
no, we have to figure this thing out together. Marriage is literally like a puzzle piece, putting a
yes,
puzzle together. Like literally taking one piece, putting it together. Every year, I feel like not even every year, but like every month. Of course, every year you get a bigger chunk of the portion, but it's like every day you're literally putting a puzzle piece together, and it's going to be ups and it's going to be downs, but there should be more ups than it should be more downs. But the downs are the opportunity that you take to build and make it a up. But I wanted to say one thing, because you touched on it when you said people, and I think that thing is very important about people, the
mm-hmm.
people that you have around you before, during, and
And,
after. It's seasons, and people come in your life. You know how people say for reasons, seasons, and whatever it
yeah,
is. But it's just like, no, you have to learn from the first time. Now, the next time when you only share with what you want people to know.
no,
Remember, you have to put that boundary up. Everybody, and I think we talked about it. There's people that's in your circle, that's watching you. It's people that you're doing life with, but then there's people that's watching you do life. So it's like one of those things where you can't open your mouth up to everybody because you don't know who's PREYING on you versus PRAYING for you. So
Mm-hmm.
you can't open up your mouth. You have to set the boundary and allow specific people that you know that's like-minded. And then when people really show you who they are,
Believe
believe who they are. Don't, oh, but she was just going through a
she was
hard time. No.
mean to say it in the group of people when I told her. No, she meant to say it.
Yeah.
She,
Yeah.
she meant
Yeah.
to, that
Yeah.
caused all this ruckus. She meant it. She meant
That
that.
it's serious when I say you have to pray for the people that's supposed to be around you. Like
Yes.
you really have to pray for your friends. Like, Lord, you reveal who my friends are supposed to be in a season. Like, because when something traumatic happens, the Lord told me something very traumatic happened to me about 3 years ago medically. And the Lord told me, don't share this with nobody. And then first it was just my husband, my covenant, and that was it. And then he said, there's 3 people that you can share this with. 1, 2, 3. And I know that they have the best interest for you. And I know they're going to pray you through this entire situation. And I'm still going through the situation. And no one will ever know I'm going through the situation because I got the support that I need. Because he exposed who was supposed to know. And then I went public with it. Now everybody knows. But those 3 people still, if I call them right now and say, today ain't the day, pray, they will open their mouth up and start praying immediately.
See,
Not what you pray, what you want me to pray for. Oh, I need to know specific prayers. I need to know exactly what it is so I can target my prayer. No, no, thank you.
no
See,
thank.
no, thank you. All right, bye, girl. Go ahead, just pray. Bye, girl.
But you know what?
Oh,
I never forget. My old apostle said this. Apostle Jennings. He was like, your friends and your circle, you'll know them by how much they speak into you.
yeah,
He was like, you stay in situations longer depending on the friendships that you had.
yeah,
He is so real. Like, there are some people I look at, go through, and it's like, you got all these friends and you still depressed.
right,
You still
right.
like,
No,
I haven't
right.
picked you up yet.
It's right.
I had friends that was like, girl, I never forget. I had this one friend, my best friend, Jamal. I called him after the divorce, right after he was in my first phone call. I was crying. Oh my God, I can't believe we went through this. And he was like, shut up. And I was like, what? He was like, did you not forget what you just came out of? Did you not know what God promised you is coming?
Yeah,
So why
yeah.
and hung the phone up? And then the next day he was like, so I thought he was calling to apologize the next day. Like, oh yeah, I knew he was going to apologize because I was hurt. Like,
Yeah,
he called the next day and was like, did you make that therapy appointment? Because you need to go because we won't be here in a month. Now he gave me a month. He was like, we won't be here in a month because you got work to do. I was like, what? Like, I'm like suffering, but I completely get it. Like, he knew the
yeah,
call, the assignment that was going to come, and
yeah,
I forfeited if I stayed in a situation longer
yeah,
than I was supposed to be in. And there are situations that I stayed in longer, listening to people that allowed me to call for 2 months straight, still crying and still talking about the same situation, still
yeah,
trying to figure it out. When I probably honestly could have been left long, like what I'm doing now could probably have happened longer, like a long time ago when I got
yeah,
first signs and I was calling people like, okay, I saw this, I found this happened, we had this argument, we had
yeah,
this.
yeah,
Instead, people just allowed me to keep venting. And there were people that was like, okay, you're not
yeah,
talking to me about this no more. You need to make a change and call in the next week. Like, okay, so what's the update on the change you're
yeah.
or what's next? And that's what I want to encourage anybody listening to. Start evaluate
Absolutely.
circle.
Yep.
Evaluate who you got around you, who's in your
Yep.
ear, who's, I'm a believer, and I might get in trouble when I say this. But I'm gonna say it. A lot of the stuff that I went through was through my church friends. Now,
Yeah. Say
my hood
it.
friends was hearing stuff in the street, and they was calling me like, "Okay, I heard this. I'm shutting it down. I know this not your character." I was going through stuff, and the church people was the ones that was screenshotting. Well, this was in this chat, and this was in this chat. So I don't want to say like, pray, pray about your friends, but don't just look and your local
Yeah.
assembly like for your friends, like barring out because what you may be going through here, your friend in the world may need that to pull from and strengthen.
Yeah.
And it goes beyond the four walls. I do know, as much as I'm a church girl, I'm learning now that I'm just as effective on my job. They look
Absolutely.
on my job. They look for more for me, when I'm down. We're never like, we know DJ, like, you gonna be dressed in this meet and we all in bonnets and we know your hair, it's the little things. So it's like, don't let your light just
Yep,
be
yep. That's
lighting.
yep, yep.
Get friends. Go to Olive Garden. Olive Garden is one of my favorites. Go to Olive Garden and meet somebody and be connected and let your light shine in their world where it could be darkness. Because
Yep.
they may be a little, they gonna hold you down.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. No,
They hold you down.
yeah. I say everything. I say one. I say you have to make sure that you're whole. Like you have to make sure that you heal properly before you even think about jumping into something, because you don't want to take your baggage into something, your unfinished business into something. So I say you have to make sure that you're whole. That is like the number one thing, is making sure that you're really whole and you really have that relationship. That's number one. And number two is, I know one of the things that really got me through was serving others. Like it was like doing stuff, whether it was community, whatever it was, it
Yes.
was like serving the kids, whatever it was, it made me feel good about myself. It made
Mhm.
me know that I had value and that there is more that I know that God's called me to do. And don't carry that guilt, that shame, that pain. And I go back to what you just said about who is around you, who is speaking into you. People should be speaking life into you, right? And you got to be under some good word too. Like
Yep.
you got to make sure
That
that
makes
you
a
under good
difference.
word, not just to hear, a peas in the ears, but you got to really make sure that you hearing some biblically based word. But also you got to hear God for yourself and really know the
Yeah.
word yourself. So I think those things really honestly can help you, not saying through the process faster, because you're going to go how you're going to go and you're going to take the time that you need. But I think those things really help you along the way through the process.
And we're not trying to rush y'all through a process. Definitely
Right.
tell people all the time. You
Yeah.
know you don't know the circle of what you'll go through until you feel where you are. If you don't
Yeah,
feel where you
absolutely.
are, it'll happen again, and then it'll happen again until you feel it. So definitely feel it. I think what we're saying is there were some steps that were longer because of things that we didn't understand that we understand now. So
Yeah,
again, learn yourself. And there are some principles that I learned after divorce that I wish I would have used in my marriage.
absolutely.
I wish I
Absolutely.
would have prayed the prayer of God, show me in my marriage, because then I would have changed, some of my actions and some of the things, how I handle some of the things. I would have been more cautious of who I did, because a lot of our issues at the end of our divorce was, how can I say this? I don't think we will be where we are right now, but we were talking to people that created their own stories, and when it was coming to us,
Wow.
like, he said this, and I'd be like, that don't even sound like him, but it was like, he said this, da, 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 and then he was getting the same thing. So it was like, I wish I would have known now,
Yeah.
use my discernment a little bit more, who I share to, when to share.
Yeah.
You do share your story, but now I know, because of that, is like, okay, DJ, just share this much, because
Yep.
this is
Yep.
this is the only part that's going to help them, instead of sharing
Yep.
just
That's
this part is going to help,
yep.
not the entire story. Or because I feel like if it's really a God thing, when you help them, it's not going to be miscrewed or anything like
Absolutely.
that. Just talking and sharing everything, is like, it can get bad. So
Mm-hmm.
the things I did know is, like, now that I pray, like, when I go, it's like, God, help me to know who to talk to today, who not to.
Yeah.
And I wish I would have used that in my marriage, because that would have saved us. The last 4 to 6 months of our marriage was chaotic
Yeah.
because of this one going back, this, where I wish the maturity would have been, no, DJ, think before you start sharing stuff.
Yeah.
Think
Absolutely.
this in this group. Think before, know your surroundings, know the people that's in your corner, know this, evaluate this, because everything that was getting back, I'm a believer now. A lot of stuff that I heard, I'm quite sure he didn't say, or
Right.
like
Right.
came across,
Right.
like,
Yeah. No. Right.
I wish one of the things that I would have learned, and this is for, you guys that are listening, if you're in a relationship or if you're in a friendship, use your discernment on who to speak to, who to
Absolutely.
talk to, who to share, what to share. Learn apart. And one thing that I learned is, I used to tell my story to myself in the mirror,
Mhm.
and I will pull out okay, so maybe this part will help somebody, this lesson.
Right.
um
Right.
it's so quick to share, like, oh no, this what happened, and then in January I got this phone
Mm,
call,
mm.
and then no, share this part that'll only bring effectiveness and awareness and impact
Absolutely.
to come out. And so, that's one of the things, like, pray, use your discernment, especially if you're at the end of the divorce. That's the most keen that can make or break your past. You can either be known as because this is what I tell people: just because I got divorced does not mean every moment was bad. We
Yeah,
had great
yeah,
moments, but because of how
yeah,
it ended, makes it look like our entire 6 years was bad.
yeah, yeah,
Wasn't. We had great times. We had great conversation. We had great friendship. We had great laughs, but we had moments that left us divorced. But because of how it ended and us combining people, and I know for me, I can't say, for us, because I really can't speak for him, but I know I talked to people and I did this and I acted this way that made it a chaotic situation where I believe we were supposed to divorce, but I believe it was supposed to be peaceful. Like, he was my friend.
yeah, yeah,
So use
yeah,
that. Use your discernment on who to speak to. Start practicing now. Like, okay, if things are rocky and y'all are going through a divorce, ask God for guidance. Like, how God
absolutely.
to deal with him. He's moving out. God, allow me what to say to him during the move out. I don't want to break his pride. You know what I'm saying? Because who wants to live a life in a bad space? You know what I'm saying?
Right, right,
Like,
absolutely.
dating, oh, my first marriage was terrible. Like, nobody wants to, like, I know that's not my story. Like, I never share, like, now that the mature healed Dejanay, my story of my first marriage is always different now. Like, now I always share from, yeah, because we were friends and we met like this. Before it was like, whoo, because I was divorced and then I was so cool.
Yeah.
I talked bitter.
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
And I
yeah. That's because you were bitter.
I
Like,
was
you talk from where you are.
yeah.
Like, you talk who you are at the time or at the moment. But
Now
now
I
that you're
now like,
healed, you talk healed.
yes.
You talk like you're healed. And I can say the same thing. There's bad things that I could say about him, but I choose not to say. And it's funny. I actually just shared it with the cashier in the dollar store yesterday because she said, "Oh my God, your ring is beautiful." And I said, "Oh, thank you." And I don't even know how I said that I'm divorced. I don't even know. But I said, I'm divorced, but I'm remarried. And I said, but we are the best co-parenters ever. And I mean, best. We were better co-parenters than we were husband and wife. Like, legitly. But I don't speak bad of him. And guess what?
Mhm.
After we were divorced, I prayed for his soul. I prayed for him to be saved and really have a relationship. And that's it. Because at the end of the day, that's my son's father. So it's like,
Mhm.
I don't want anything bad to happen to him. Like, by no means necessary. But you shouldn't want anything bad to happen to your ex-husband anyway.
Never. I would
No.
never wish.
Right.
When I tell you, but it's like, even in a hurt, like, because I was hurt, like I
Yeah,
was Dejanay
absolute.
was hurt.
Right. Yeah.
But now, like, I do, like, I pray for those things.
She froze y'all again. But what she was saying was, no, I don't know what she was saying, but you speak from the place that there you go. I just said what she was saying was, I don't even know what she was saying, but you speak from the place that you're in. Like, that's all I stopped
Yes,
at. But
like,
no, go
it's
ahead.
amazing, and the process is so beautiful. Like,
Yeah.
I be just thanking God. Like, now I be like, God, I thank you for choosing me to go through it. Like, God, I thank
Yeah.
you for choosing me to be divorced. Like, God, I thank you for even the process. God, allow me. I got friends that never married. Like, God, I thank you for if you never allow me to get married again. Like, God, I thank you for even allowing me to experience that
Hmm.
that beautiful wedding that I had, and
Yeah.
the experience, and even with motherhood. Like, we lost a baby in the process. Like, God, I thank you for allowing me to get pregnant. Like, now the healed me is thankful because I love the lessons and things I've learned afterwards. And it's like, God, I would have never thought of this if it wasn't for you. I would have never discovered that I
Right.
cook if I never went through a place where now, like, I gotta cook because he cooked.
Yeah.
So it's like, like, God, like, I thank you. And people think that is weird. Like, I'm always thanking God, like, God, I thank you for allowing me to experience that heartache and experience, those things, because it has literally made me a better,
Yeah.
like, I have no regrets, like,
Right.
no
Right. We
regrets.
have to go back to the scripture that all things work for the
Work
good of those
together.
that love the Lord and called according to his purpose. Even though it's a divorce, that doesn't mean that it's just bad. It doesn't mean that God doesn't know the plans that he has for your life. That is not what it means. It means that he knows, if
The-
depending on how your perspective and how you look at it, it's just one of those things where it's like, God, I know that you know the plans for my life. and they're not bad. They're to
Yeah,
prosper. So even though I went through this traumatic situation, because it says that in life we will have trials and tribulations. So even though I went through this traumatic situation, the plans, and they're for me to prosper, and they're not for me to be harmed,
they're
and they're
not.
not for me to stay where I'm at, and they're not for me to have a poverty mindset, and they're not for me to live a ghetto lifestyle, and they're you know what I mean,
They're
and
not.
they're not for me to live in grief, and they're not for me to be depressed, and they're not for me to live all these things that the enemy wants us, to live, but they're for me to live all the with loveness, with kindness, with gentleness, with patience, with long suffering. All those things, they are for me to live, because all these things only build character.
Character.
They only
That's
build
all
who you are now as, Dejanay, the young woman that you are. They only build Dejanay, the, once divorced, but now speaking out about this with courage, without fear, but telling people like, no, this process was, traumatic. This process hurt. It does hurt. It hurts really, really
it
bad. It hurts
really.
so bad. But again, there's life after bad.
And it's so beautiful. Like when I tell you, I be so appreciative.
Yeah,
It's so beautiful because I think I just am in love with this person I've become.
absolutely. As you should be.
In the worst season of my, and I tell people this all the time, like I'm so content and happy
Yeah, as
with
you
life.
should be.
I'm not embarrassed. I'm not regretful.
Right.
I take, like, God is so good, and I just be thanking Him, like, God, I just thank you. Like, I thank you for the heartache. I thank you that you allowed me to go through the heart, that you chose me.
Yeah, yeah,
I, I'm thankful you chose me for the heartache. I'm thankful that you chose me to learn these lessons. I thank you for my imperfect days where I messed up.
yeah,
And now, God, like if I hurt anybody in the process, like I'm sorry. I allow
yeah,
to feel that I'm sorry and it wasn't me, because honestly, I don't know that DJ that I'm learning now. I don't know who that was in that marriage, because that's not who I am. You know what I'm saying? It's like it's not who I am, and it's like you work, and for my thing, I pay so much money for this healing. Like I refuse to let somebody in my space that's going to tamper with my peace and mess up my no. I
yeah.
paid a lot of money. My insurance, the therapist I went to, my insurance did not cover. And I felt like at one point I was going to her 3 days a week. I woke up like this. I'm coming in to sit on the couch.
But you know what's crazy? Let's talk about for 5 seconds about that though. Like people really, church people think that you don't need therapy because girl, ain't nothing wrong with you. All you need is Jesus. Yep, I have Jesus. But then, God puts these resources here on earth for us to exercise and use.
Huh?
So it's just that use your resources, honey. Therapy and Jesus is okay.
And
And
I
I was
still
one of the
go.
ones that think that I didn't need it either. Like, I don't need no therapy. I'm fine. I got a relationship. But it was some things like, hold up. Not saying that God couldn't do it, but there's some things that I literally had to talk about in real time. Like, hold on, God. I mean, hold on, sis. So listen, this is the feelings that I had today. What am I supposed to do about them? I needed a right now answer.
I
And I'm
need
not saying that God wasn't answering right now, but she was my right now answer. You know what I mean? She was the person that was supposed to help me navigate, regardless of what it is later or whatever. But she was the person that he placed for her to navigate. And I knew she was on purpose because she was on purpose. You know what I mean? She was
Mhm.
in line with what I knew what the Lord had told me. So I don't know, but I hate those misconceptions. So y'all get yourself a
Get
therapist. It's
there.
nothing, no ashamed. Okay. You don't gotta tell nobody, but just get yourself a
Even
therapist.
days I go and I sit in there and I'm sorry, she be like, how is it? And I just be smiling, but I tell her, because every day, there are some days where I wake up and it's like, I'm really divorced. Like,
Yeah,
and then
yeah,
there are days when it's like, then there are days where it's like, whoa, wait a minute, girl, like, yeah, you went through this. So there, I still go sit on the couch. I love my girl, and when she ain't seen me in like 2 weeks, she be like, "Are you all right? Do we need to talk?" Yes, and I need you to know everything I've done because I need to make sure I stay on this because it's
yeah.
so easy for the mind to shift.
Those mind battles.
You have to go. You literally have to stay on top of it and
Yeah,
speak to yourself. And sometimes there are words of affirmation that she called out of me from talking that I use now when I'm affirming myself and when I'm praying. And there are some language because, like, okay, now I know what really is the problem, where it really came from, the root it really came from.
hmm
Now I
hmm
pray for. I would have never got that.
yeah.
I mean, I probably would have with a preacher. Let me say, but there are some things that she's clinically trained to.
Yeah.
And
No,
with
right, right. No, right. It's okay. It's
It's
okay. Jesus in therapy. It's okay.
it's okay.
It's
Go.
okay.
And if you got insurance like mine, the first 5 was free, and then after that you had to. I went through
Yeah.
5 week. That first week, oh my god. And again, I was the petitioner, so I was already ashamed to tell people I was having these thoughts because they were like, "Girl, you did this though. You formed the paperwork.
And it's
You
okay. I
so
did it
you
too. I filed. It's
like
okay.
you gotta you gotta suck up. You did this. You know what I'm saying? But there were some feelings that I tell people that all the time. That day of, I felt like I was closing the casket, like I was crying.
You was close to the
I
casket.
mean, yeah, I was really close, but like, literally,
Right.
like damn,
Death to divorce.
I was so emotional. And and then I stopped telling people my feelings because people were like, "Girl, you did this. You did this. You drawed the paperwork. You did this." But I'm just so thankful to God. God is
I
just so
am.
good,
He
so
is.
so good. Like he's so good, and I'm just so appreciative.
Yes.
So is there anything you want to close with here to?
I just want to say thank you. You're so amazing, and I'm thankful that you're sharing your story unapologetically. Like honestly, because it's really hard. And I told you, like this is you're sharing your story, but this is I mean I've been divorced. I've been married to my husband for 7 years this year in 6 months. So it's like I was married, a long time ago. Like back in like I said in 2011, 12. I think I got married in 2012. I think it was, but I think. I don't even know. But what I'm saying is this is the first time almost 10, whatever, 11, 12 years later that I'm actually like publicly really discussing this because it's just something I moved on from. Like I'm healed and I moved on from it. Now,
Mhm,
when I do talk to people, sometimes I will say little stuff like I told the lady in the dollar store randomly. I don't know why, but I'm telling this lady how I'm divorced and how we're great co-parenters and how my husband's ex-wife is like my baby mama. Like she takes my son and they like spend the night there, like, but I'm able to laugh, like, and go
mhm.
walk to my car, like, did I just share that? What is wrong with me?
Oh,
Share my business like that. But she was blessed by me saying that little snippet of what I said. She just kept saying, wow, that's amazing. So, I mean, I could have did something for her. But I just think, again, it's one of those things where I kind of closed about, I had a Baptist close. I closed about 10 minutes ago. But it's one of those things that I just think that it's one of those things where you really just have to make sure that you're whole before you move on and jump
mhm.
into anything. Just know, like we said, Jesus in therapy, it's okay.
It's
It's
okay.
all right. Face you. Like it's time to face you in the mirror, right? It's time to sit in the pain so you can heal from the pain. Like it's time for you to admit, like, no, I'm not okay. Let me sit in this. What is the things that and don't think that you did something wrong and it could have changed the trajectory of where your marriage went. Like no, it probably could have still ended that way, but it's one of those things where it's a learning experience. You have
Yeah.
to take what you learned from it and build on that and be a better woman. Don't look at it as, oh my God, this thing is supposed to depress me. No, this thing I'm supposed to build on. I'm gonna admit I was in guilt. I'm gonna admit, like you said, instead of responding, I reacted. I was popping off at the mouth. I
Mhm.
was telling him what to do. You ain't gonna tell me what. Instead of all that, yeah, I did that, but guess what? I'm not making that same mistake in this marriage now.
I'm
It's
not.
no way that I'm no, because he listens to me. You know what I mean? I don't have to pop off. And if I do pop off, he kind of put me in check, like, wait, hold on. Let's talk about what in the world even just happened. Why are you even like that? Like, look how you coming at me for what? Then it's like, ooh, shucks. Like I did. But honestly, it's that healing thing. I think healing is one of those big things because it's like we jump right back into something. And I said I did. I got married on my 3rd month of dating my husband, and we had to work through some stuff. Like, you know what I mean? Dying to self and all those things. And we had to build. And God told me that we were going to build. So we had to build our marriage. And now it's more solid than, it can, not saying that it could ever be, because I'm sure it could be even more solid, but it's
Mhm.
very solid though. We're firm in our foundation, our covenant. We're firm in our foundation and our covenant. So I just think that, again, I'm going to have to rock off of all things work together for the good of those that
Yeah.
love the Lord or called according to his purpose. Your past doesn't determine, your setback doesn't determine your comeback.
Listen, say
Yeah. Yeah.
this was good. This was good.
Very good. We went over 24 minutes and
Yes, we
17 seconds.
did. We did. And I'm sorry, guys, that we kept you guys so long. Thank y'all for everybody that's been on commenting. I'm gonna get on. I'm sure she'll respond as well
Yes.
to the comments.
Mhm.
After this, I thank you guys. Thank you, thank you, thank you, thank you,
Thank
thank you.
you.
Again, like, comment, share, give me some feedback, positive feedback, negative feedback. I'll take it all. Because I want this to grow and be better and better each week.
Absolutely.
I want it to be better. Again, this is the month of February that's coming up, and I have a good lineup. I have like Brittany Banks next week. I have Eric Langston one week, my pastor brother. I have my Nita one week, my Aunt Deidre one week. Like, I think that this is going to be a really, really good month. So stay tuned Mondays at 8 p.m. The Unspoken D Word Divorce. And ladies, don't forget, tomorrow is Tuesday, which means it's 5 a.m. prayer on here.
Y'all
So
better be at 5 a.m. prayer.
come on, 5 a.m. Tuesdays and Thursdays. Y'all know I'm on here for 5 a.m. prayer. I will be up at 5 a.m. on here with you guys, 5 a.m. prayer. So again, next Monday, 8 p.m. Tomorrow morning, 5 a.m. prayer. I love you guys. Again, this is Dejanay Dominique. Thank you, sis.
Yes. Thank you, everybody.
Love y'all.